So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Dune. I figured it's about time I had a reread of this book because it's been a couple years since I read it, like 2 years, and because the second part of the movie is going to be coming out soon. So I'm like, kind of want to binge read this and then film it and talk about it and talk about what points I love so much and why I love them with you guys. That's what I'm going to be doing in this video. So guys, it is nighttime and I'm about to go to bed, but I'm going to start reading Dune. I haven't updated you guys in a while, but I have like 1/3 of the book left. I've been reading it pretty fast, and it's been a blast. Reading it has absolutely like gone by so fast the second time through. Some of the quickie things to note, like I've always loved the Duke and everything that he does for his family. I love how much he loves his family. And it's so evident within every action and everything that he says to anybody is his love for his family. And I think that's the biggest impression that I'm getting through this book this time is the amount of love that the Atreides have for each other. They love each other so much and they love the people around them so much. All their actions lead into protecting each other, which is amazing. And like you see that also in the Fremen culture. Like they move as one unit. That is, if one person is hurt, the whole body is hurt, which is so cool. Especially like, I know Frank Herbert's not a Christian, but me being a Christian reading this book and seeing those themes is how I believe the church should work together. I am on the last 100 pages of this book. Around the body, and I laughed. I was taken out of the story for a short moment. Frank Herbert's Dune. I have highly enjoyed it this second time through. I've almost enjoyed it more, and it has solidified itself in my favorite books. The way that Frank Herbert just absolutely destroys all the foreshadowing in this book is so good. Like he killed it every single time. There were subtle clues all throughout the book leading to different things, and just the amount of emotions that you saw. Like the first time I read this book, I did not pick up on the subtle emotions that are throughout and just the incredible change and danger that they're putting themselves in, and them slowly coming to realize the amount of doom and dread. Like the doom and dread slowly builds itself up until you're kind of like feeling very scared. You're like learning to love these characters. Like the reading this through the second time, I'm in complete love with the Duke Leto is so protective of his family and so wanting the best and to set up Arrakis for the best itself too, wanting to seek out how he can make this planet prosper. Frank Herbert is so good at making well-rounded characters where you fall in like love with them. Like the security and just like I felt the security that the Duke had and how he tried to secure his entire family. He was an anchor, he was a stone for them, and you could feel that, and it just like exuded off the page. And again, reading Jessica's perspective again with things, I see how much more she loves her Duke and she loves her son, the entire Atreides family in general. Their love for one another and the love that the Duke had modeled and the life the Duke had modeled, how that affects Paul and affected Paul, and how that affected Jessica is so evident in every little thing that they do, and even in every little thing that people around them do who the Duke touched and whose lives he blessed. And I completely fell in love with him all over again. Like I already really liked the Duke, but like I said, rereading this has just solidified so much for me. One of my favorite characters this time through is Gurney Hallack. He kept making me smile so many times. Like he's so smart in how he plans things and him being strategic. I love him so much, and he loves the Atreides so much. But every time there was some sort of tension, like he pulled through and made me laugh. Like I literally laughed out loud, and it he was a shining star this read through. And sadly enough to say, Howat was not. Thufir Hawat, or however you say his name, I was super annoyed with him the entire way through the book. Every time he was on the page and where his intentions, and like he's supposed to be a mentat, okay? They're supposed to be really smart. And I know that the Baron was like, well, if you give them misleading information, they're not going to be smart and they'll get stuck on computing this one way. His character goes through like an ebb and flow without spoiling too much, and I don't know. I just did not like him this time through really at all, except in the end. Also, I have to say that, again, just as much as I fell in love with the Atreides family in general, and especially the Duke, I did the opposite with the Baron. And last time I read it through, I found him disgusting. But this time reading it through, literally any time that I was reading in his perspective or anything, I wanted to puke. Like, I did not want to be with him in that chapter, reading any of his thoughts or anything. I'm like, I really want to get through this because he literally makes me want to vomit. And again, that goes to Frank Herbert's amazing character development and mapping and just how he sets things out. The Baron is disgusting. This is a chapter that I marked up for the Baron Harkonnen, and I wrote, yuck, so gross. I hate him so much, because he was commenting on his nephew's body and how delightful it looked, and I wanted to vomit. He literally is a monster, and it just. Eh. But my final thoughts are kind of like what I said before. The most impactful thing for me while reading this book the second time through was the culture of love and we take care of our people. Um, and I love that. The way that the Atreides and the good, solid people that they surround themselves with, how they love each other is amazing. And it's super impactful and challenging to me personally with being like, do I love the people around me the way that these people are, because these people are willing to sacrifice their lives for each other. It's just so impactful into lives around them. If you live that way, you change lives, living your life as a sacrifice, loving people. And that was super, super impactful to me this time through, and is the biggest takeaway. Um, so yeah, that's my closing thought. I do have a couple thoughts about some going into more of the nitty gritty details of this book. And so, if you do not want to hear spoilers for Dune, and would like to read it or watch the movie yourself, then exit the video. I'm glad that you made it this far. It's good to have you, but I don't want to spoil anything for you. So if you could just we could just say peace. This is your warning. My first thought was I feel extremely bad for Dr. Yui. Like when I first read this book through and found out that he was the traitor, I was I kind of I didn't feel anything towards him really. I was kind of like, "Oh, okay. Like that sucks." But this time reading it through, I can feel his emotions and I understand his love more so for his wife and why he is doing the things that he's doing. Like I understand him more and I sympathize with him more, though it's horrible what he did and the sacrifices he was willing to make. He just felt like he was at the end of the rope, and being at the end of the rope can cause so many different people to do such insane things. And I just felt incredibly bad for him. It's incredibly heartbreaking seeing him go through all of these emotions and these extreme hatred for the Harkonnens. Um, you understand it because the Baron is absolutely disgusting. It's so sad that he felt like he had to betray his people to do that instead of confiding in his people to help him. Paul is like not really listened to in the beginning of the book. Like he brings up his suspicion for Dr. Yue, I think. I think he brings it up to his mom or something, and she's like, that can't be. But Paul kind of got skipped over a little bit in his knowledge there, which is kind of a cool thing to, like, a cool contrast to later in the book when the Fremen and his mother and just everybody like believes him more and he has more of an authority, not just because he became the duke after his father died, but because of his awareness and being the mentat and having the prescience. Which was crazy. I also forgot that happened at the end of the book where he went under the spice trance and gained the knowledge of like all the Reverend Mothers or whatever. Like I totally forgot that happened. Like I knew he gained more knowledge, but I forgot that he started growing numb towards the spice and then drank the the waters. 2 or 3 weeks he was knocked out by that. Totally forgot. Also totally forgot there was a time skip. Going from the second third of the book, the Muad'Dib part, into the Prophet. Like the Prophet starts out with the time skip, hardcore thrown into the action of like these politics going on, and then only 2 or 3 pages into that you find out it's been 2 years and you're kind of like, oh, that's why things are weird. And then like Chani and Paul having a son, I totally forgot they had a son, which you come to find out later gets killed by soldiers, which is again heartbreaking. And seeing Paul become more and more calculating and kind of mad as he gains all this knowledge is really cool, especially since I'm also reading the Wheel of Time series. Because the main character in that kind of goes mad. It's kind of cool seeing his character and Paul's character like next to each other and comparing how Robert Jordan is making go mad to how Frank Herbert is making Paul go mad. And I just really enjoyed that comparison. I don't have a ton to say about that without giving stuff away in the Wheel of Time that I don't want to give away. But Paul going mad is so good. Like, and it leading into the second book and everything that happened in the second book was amazing. One thing that I really want to say is I love Jessica and Stilgar's friendship. Like, I forgot how close they were. I just read the third book and they have a good friendship and communication there that I totally forgot that happened in the first book. And you just see them slowly as they work through all of these things together. You see this reverence that they hold for each other and admiration, and it is such a sweet friendship between Jessica and Stilgar. And it really enjoyed that this time through. One thing the movie so far seems to be making the fight with Frey Ralpha like stand out so much, and so going through it this time in the book, it's not as impactful as like the movie seems to be, because you have full confidence in the book that Paul is going to win. At least I did. I know it's my second time reading it through, but knowing that when Paul was even 15 could defeat a Fremen, and a Fremen could defeat Sardaukar, which Sardaukar were supposed to be like the most elite fighters ever, I kind of went in it, even the first time reading it through, knowing that Paul was going to be afraid Ralpha. Like, it's just gonna happen. He can fight Sardaukar, he can fight Fremen and win. Yes, Fedor Alpha has also been in a lot of dueling and everything like that, but Frank didn't build up Fedor Alpha in the book very well, I guess, for me to fear him any sort of way. He was kind of more just annoying and just kind of like, oh, he's the guy that the Baron wants to take over. And you don't really feel connected to him at all or threatened by him. You mostly feel threatened by the Baron. I think that's my final thoughts closing out today. I'm also starting to lose my voice. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way through, I appreciate you so much. Be on the lookout for new videos every Monday. We'll see you next time.